Hey folks, John from Snoqualmie Fire Lookout Association with another video. Today it's about how to interact with the public. So as volunteers with the U.S. Forest Service, we're out there in the wilderness, out in the woods to represent the Forest Service, and particularly to help the public enjoy the public lands, the National Forest. That's our primary job, is to be out there to serve the public. And so it's very easy when you start thinking about how to do this. The first thing to tell you is we have tools that help us. Probably number one tool you have is the uniform, the shirt or the Forest Service uniform, your hat, anything that basically is talking and showing the public that you're not just your average person walking out there in the woods, you're actually a servant of the public. We have in the lookout bags, we have a number of things. We have maps of the Snoqualmie National Forest, the Snoqualmie Ranger District. We have motor vehicle use maps. We have tools that we can help people, some cards you can kind of leave behind, you know, to talk to people about their campsites, you know, things we can basically help them out. Got a counter, so you can count the number of people you encounter out there, either on trail patrol or at the lookouts, that they basically keep track of the number of people that are out there. So what are we supposed to be all about when we're out doing trail patrol or lookout duty? It's really about welcoming the public. You know, we're out there to try to welcome the public. We want them to have a good time in the outdoors. We want them to do it safely. You know, so really that's our key thing, is just talking to the public. You know, it can be as simple as just running into somebody on a trail or running into somebody as you're, you know, out there at the lookout towers and just talking to them and being friendly and being the friendly face of the Forest Service. Think in advance of what you would say to visitors. If you look in the lookout handbook, our SFLA handbook for 2022, in Appendix A are some scripts you could actually read. We don't really want you to read them, but things you could say to people. Let's take an example. You run into somebody on the trail and you say, "Hi, I'm John with the Snoqualmie Fire Lookout Association. I'm a volunteer of the Forest Service. How are you doing today?" See what I just did? I just gave them an upbeat day in the woods, and that's what we're talking about. And then answering questions. You know, it's about 2 more miles to get to Greenwater Lake. It's a beautiful lake. You'll have a good time up there. Things as simple as that. You know, welcome to the fire lookouts. So, for example, here's what you might say if you're on lookout duty. Somebody comes up to the lookout. "Hi, I'm John from Snoqualmie Fire Lookout Association. I'm a volunteer of the Forest Service. Welcome to Kelly Butte Lookout. We're really glad you came up here. You're welcome to come on inside, 2 at a time. We can only have 2 people in at a time, and see what the lookout's about." This lookout was built in 1950s. It is actually the second lookout that stood here. The first one was built back in the 1920s and served for many years as a fire lookout. The lookout was reconstructed in 2008 to 2011, and since then it's been an operational fire lookout. What do fire lookouts do? They just do exactly what the term says. We actually watch for fires, and we are actually an operational fire lookout, complete with a radio to report in if we need to and tell people there's a fire going on. We still watch for fires. We also greet a lot of visitors. We also kind of do some maintenance work to try to keep these buildings up. This is a 70-year-old building after all and needs lots of TLC. Feel free to check things out, look around, see what you see, ask questions about it. So something as simple as that, very straightforward. Sometimes people are going to come up and they're going to have questions. You know, they're going to ask you about places to go, things to do, and of course you want to try to answer those questions as best you can. So study up on it. You know, read up about where some of the good places to go hike are and some things to see, and you know, don't tell them information if you don't know. Don't just guess at it. Be prepared to talk about the history. You know, one time there were, you know, hundreds of lookouts across the United States. Now, just in Washington State alone, there's only about 99 of them. They're still standing. Of them, in Western Washington, only 4 that are actually in service, including Kelly Butte, Suntop, Granite, which is right now out of service for maintenance, and Miners Ridge. And so, you know, be prepared to talk about trivia. Be prepared to talk about the Osborne Firefinder. There was a whole video about the Osborne Firefinder. Talk about how we use it today to spot fires, or you would use it if you got a chance to spot a fire, and how it was really important back in the old days to make that work. So that's the key. Talk to these people, you know, maybe just discuss them. Now, here's the challenge. It's not always going to go that easy. Sometimes it's a little bit more challenging. Some of the conversations are going to be tougher than that. You know, for example, somebody comes up and says, you know, "Why can't I camp inside the lookout here?" Or "Why can't I you know, stay the night up here at Kelly Butte. I thought it was first come, first serve, you know, or whatever those discussions might be. Always be polite and respectful and disarming to these people. Some of the common questions we get are, why do I have to go below the gate at 8 p.m.? Why can't I just stay up here? Why can't I put my tent up here? You know, why isn't it first come, first serve? And why do you get to stay here? And why do I have to pay for a Northwest Forest Pass? Those are questions you're going to get all the time. You need to think through your answers. The first question, the first thing you say should be something that's trying to de-escalate. You know, I understand your frustration. I'm so sorry that's bothering you. You know, I wish I could fix that for you, but I can't. Those are the rules we live by. You know, we are not allowed to let people camp up here. This is an active fire lookout. It's not a residence where people get to stay. So think through your answers, but always start with those disarming, you know, let's just tamp this down. We want to de-escalate things and not let them get escalating, okay? Here's another one. As a volunteer, I don't enforce the rules. I'm simply telling you what the rules are, and you'd have to talk to my bosses about them. I just shove the problem off on somebody else, okay? They can't really attack me because guess what? I didn't cause this problem. I didn't make these rules. So if it really gets ugly, you might say, you know, sorry, I got some things I gotta go do. I gotta go clean the toilet. Pick out one of the worst jobs. You know, I have to go clean the toilet out. Somebody had an accident in there, and walk away and go, you know, head over that direction. Just kind of walk away from the problem. You know, they may not be happy, but you're not giving them a chance to kind of boil up. So sometimes you can't de-escalate. Sometimes things get more ugly, and that's when some of these tools get to be pretty important. Wearing the hat, wearing the shirt, or wearing a Forest Service uniform, carrying this radio. These identify you as a federal officer. You are actually a federal officer when you are on duty, okay? You are not a federal law enforcement, but you're a federal officer. And so anybody that decides to get in your face or assault you has committed a federal offense. It's pretty bad. So what do? Well, the first thing you do is you do just what we just said. You know, wear the uniform, you know, effectively present the presence as being a Forest Service officer. The second thing to do is do just what we just did. You know, I got something to do. I'm very sorry. I'm gonna have to go do that. And so, you know, go off and just, you know, take the opportunity to retreat. Walk away. Go back to the lookout. Go inside. You know, if they're inside the lookout, step outside, lock the door behind you. You know, go somewhere else. Just separate yourself from that person. If it's pretty bad, get on the radio, call for some help. Call for Mary or ask Puget Sound to get a hold of Mary or Valerie or myself and explain the situation to them. They'll relay the message to us, or we'll get up on our own radio and talk to you, and we may come up there. If it gets particularly ugly, you know, the radio, pull this radio out, and in front of that person, you call for law enforcement assistance. Who are our law enforcement officers? Forest 5-7, Tyler Smith, Forest 5-5, Chris. They will basically be on the radio somewhere around the district and call for some assistance and ask if there's some help. If they can't help you, call Puget Sound and say, this is hearing at Kelly Butte. I need some law enforcement assistance up here at Kelly Butte. They're going to ask you a little bit more about that, but by doing that, I have now transmitted the signal to everybody around me that I am basically calling for the cavalry to come and help me, okay? If Puget Sound is not in service, get on the radio and simply say, this is hearing at, you know, on Kelly Butte, requesting law enforcement assistance at Kelly Butte Lookout. Somebody out there will hopefully be listening to this, and you may get a response. It might be Pierce County Sheriff, it might be Washington State Patrol. Lots of people monitor these channels. If things get totally out of control, then this is the time to do that last step, which is retreat. And that means walk away. Lock the door behind you, get away from the lookout. If you're at Kelly Butte, you walk away, lock the door again, head to the car. Leave this person behind. You know, if they're going to kick the door in, let them kick the door in. It's not your job to get in the middle of that, okay? If you're at Suntop, lock the door, go to your car, get in your car, drive out. You know, get out of there. Don't stay in the middle of a confrontation, and really don't get, Don't go full Hawaii 5-0 on them or anything like that. That's not your job. It's somebody else's job. Simply walk away. Our job is to be the friendly face of the Forest Service. Sometimes it doesn't work that way, but hopefully if we follow some of these steps, interacting with the public will be really simple, very easy, and you'll never get into problems. And with that, we will see you up on the lookout this summer.